Welcome to Board Game Binge, the place where we bring you bite-sized, bingeable board game content across the industry. I'm your host, James Staley, and in this episode, we're chatting with Michal Vitkovsky, a German game designer who created Shiver Me Timbers, an open sandbox pirate-themed game. His second print is currently on Gamefound. Michal, welcome to the binge. How you doing, my friend?
Hi, James. Thanks for having me. Doing great.
It's first I want to do a shout out, as always, to Stefan Godot from Godot Games, who recommended we get together and talk. So I want to give him a kudos. So thank you, Stefan, a mutual friend. Um, my gosh, I am so excited about this episode. I told you just before you went on air that this reminds me of one of my favorite video games of all time. Still, the game is my go-to. It's my comfort food. It's my anything in front of my Xbox is based on pirates. So we're going to get into pirates in a second because again, I think you've done such an amazing job with this, and we're going to get into the details of it. The first and foremost, Michal, so you're based out of Germany. I believe you're originally from Czechoslovakia, though, right? From Prague?
Yes, that's right. I was born in Czechoslovakia a long, long time ago in
What
1974.
brought you to Germany? Like, was
Well, that was like a completely other time back then, right? So that was like in the middle of communism with like the Iron
yeah.
Curtain between the Czech Republic and Germany. And my parents got like under some serious pressure under the communists. So we fled over the mountains and ended up in Germany.
Wow. Now, have you gone back since? Like, have you had a chance to go back
Yes,
to?
of course, of course.
Yeah.
Since the borders opened again in 1989, 1990, we've been there like every year. I worked for half a year. During my studies, I used to work like at a Czech publishing house. So yeah, I'm back often and I love it. And my kids love it. I got like three kids by now,
Oh,
and they
wow.
all like appreciate our trips to
Get
Prague a lot.
get a chance to go back to the roots and kind of just explore and experience it. Oh, that's awesome. And then so you're a tech is what's your job? You're like a tech engineer or something like this?
No, I'm a tech journalist.
Tech
I'm a tech
journalist.
journalist. So yeah,
Ah,
I don't have to build it. I just have to understand it and write about it. And I've been doing that like for quite a long time. So that's like, yeah, it's a fun job because basically like all day you are working with people who are like way smarter than you and they explain you what they are doing and then you just have to write it down. So you learn on good days, you learn something new every day. So that's like pretty nice. And it helps when you like start writing rule books. Suddenly like being
yeah.
able to explain how things work is like really useful.
Now, do you get like an early kind of access to tech that before it hits market? Like, do you ever get a chance to get like demos and things like this?
Yes, yes. I mean, um, most of what I write about is like cybersecurity.
Yeah.
So basically, the products and the stuff is like pretty virtual.
Hmm.
But obviously, we do write like a lot about new releases or upcoming releases or about like updates and developments which are like going to be in the news like once we have written our stuff. So we are always like a little bit ahead of the curve.
Hmm. And have you got into like gadgets at all, or is it mainly just cybersecurity?
No, it's only software.
Only software, like
Haven't
for the past
haven't
like 30 some
haven't
odd
had like
years?
for the past like I started. I mean, obviously like things have changed a lot because I started
Yeah.
like in 1999. That's when I got into my job,
Hmm.
and back then you always had like stuff, and yeah, I will always like remember when I visited my first data center, which they weren't called data centers back then,
Yeah.
and um, they started me explaining what it does, and I asked them like um, where the computer was and when I could see the computer, and they just looked at me like as if I was crazy and told me, "You are standing in it."
Oh, wow.
That was like back at a time when like things were like very different.
And how deep are
Nowadays,
you
everything.
going down the AI path now? Like, I guess it's all AI discussions at this point.
Yes, yes. It's all driven by AI, obviously. Like in cybersecurity, both sides, both
Yeah.
the defenders and the attackers are using like AI all the time for everything.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I'm like struggling a little bit. Like as a creative, I think you have to struggle because Um, the topic is like, I mean, it's an incredible tool, obviously, but as always, it always like depends on who's wielding it and how much they like know what they are doing.
Yeah.
But actually, like I on my campaign side, I make a very clear point about like Shiver Me Timbers being like completely handmade, every artwork, every line of text. Um, obviously, I do use it like for translations, for editing, for checking like
Yeah.
if the text is like coherent and so on. Sure, great tool, but
The genie has left the
creation,
bottle, right? And I know some people will like kind of try to hang on and say, there should be no AI anywhere in the board game industry. And I agree that we want to try. I try to flip that script a little bit and say, we need to encourage artists wherever we can, right? To continue bringing their craft, to the trade. And you look at the Andrew Bosleys of the world, right?
mm,
Who I think most people look back at like Everdell and his style and all the games he's done since and say, okay, that's why we're doing it. But to say AI has to be completely stripped, it's impossible. We're at this point where like if you use Illustrator, if you use Photoshop, AI is integrated. If you're using any kind of like editing software. If you're writing a script, even my email now is giving me AI suggested grammar fixes, right? Like this is all AI. So it's impossible to kind of peel yourself away from that. And I think what we need to do as kind of an industry is say, okay, understanding that we can't get away from that, and there's going to be some tools that are going to be very useful. Another one, and quite frankly, is running equations on the balance of your game. You can do that using AI, very handy tool. But on the flip side is okay at the same time, but then how do we kind of take the current artists along with us, right? So we're not losing the human aspect of creativity, right? And some of the cool stuff that comes out of that. Um, it's this kind of debate that's out there, but it's one that I think is starting to wane a bit because I think the reality is setting in. Even a lot of the I find the crowdfunding platforms where they went through probably a good year where it's like, okay, announce everywhere you've used AI and we're going to get the pitchforks and the shovels out, right?
mm.
And now they've all stripped that away because they realize it's just not practical. So, where you can highlight that you've used humans and let the consumer decide, I guess, is kind of where the perspective is. How did you get into this industry, like board gaming as a whole? So you're on the tech side. You're dealing with software, you're dealing with cybersecurity. That's a pretty far chasm between that and tactile board games. What brought you to board games?
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
I frankly, I don't know. I've always been like a gamer. I started out like gaming like Sid Meier's Pirates stole like half my youth, I guess.
Yep.
Um, and then like after I wrapped up what is corresponding to your high school, I started studying and I was studying literature. And my friends got me into Magic the Gathering
Mm,
in 1994 when Magic was like super young still. And I dove in that like really, really deep. I was like playing tournaments, driving to Grand Prix, playing on the Pro Tour. And that was like basically like my whole life because studies, that was like studying literature is like not that work intensive, I would say, like in retrospect. So I had like still plenty of time to game.
hmm.
And I spent like years playing Magic. And then like life caught up and I got my degree and I got into a job, tech journalism, started like writing. And there just wasn't like enough room to play Magic anymore. So I started looking for like some different kind of game, and that was like around the time when Settlers of Catan was like really big
Mm,
and Puerto Rico was really big, like early 2000s, and we started to board game a lot. And I kept board gaming, and then like my kids came and they started board gaming, and we were like always playing quite a lot. And around that time, must be like 2010 or 2012, I started wondering why there wasn't like any game which had like this vast sandbox which Sid Meier's Pirate had, like where you really
yeah.
could do whatever you wanted. Sure, you could go and start fighting the Spanish and hunt the treasure fleet, no problem. But you could also like try to be like a merchant or like look for the love of your life or do like really whatever you wanted, go on treasure hunts and so on. And I started putting something together. And basically that something became Shiver Me Timbers in the end.
Oh, that's amazing.
And
With your just to step back on your magic, how far down did you go on that rabbit hole? And do you still have your decks, or did you offload them?
no, I actually I sold them when
Yeah.
my then girlfriend, now wife, when we moved together and got our first flat, I sold my collection and used that like to buy the furniture for the flat. Now, if I had kept them, if I had kept them and still had them, I could probably buy the flat with what the cards are worth now. But
Yeah, no kidding. That's awesome. Whereabouts
yeah,
you guys located in Germany?
where we are in Germany,
Yeah,
we are in Nuremberg, which is
Nuremberg.
basically
Okay.
like 150 kilometers north of Munich. So
Yeah,
it's like the northern bit of Bavaria. So
yeah.
yes,
Oh,
green
that's
forests,
amazing.
lots of nature. Yeah, really nice.
When you talk about like Sid Meier's Pirates, and I was saying this before we went on air, it is my all-time favorite game ever. Like I absolutely
Yes.
love it. I've spent so much time on that game. And I'm talking like the original like Super Nintendo version, right? Like the NES.
Mhm.
Um, like I'm serious,
I
like the
had it.
original
I
NES. It was
I
one
I
of
had
go
I
ahead.
had it on the Commodore 64. I had it on the
Oh,
Commodore
even
64,
better.
and then on the Commodore Amiga, and I do have it on my Xbox now, just like you.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, but that NES version was like I had like four games and it was the one I played all the time. And then when I saw Xbox had like an updated version you could download, I'm like, oh my gosh. So I've got it on my I don't really play any other games. But when I play and I want that kind of comfort food and I just want to escape, it's Sid Meier's Pirates. It is so good. And I think what I loved so much about that one is not just the fact that you can find hidden treasure and you're finding parts of the map and you're going to the different taverns to recruit people and how they can mutiny if they're not happy, but just the trading between the different ports and then attacking ships and then literally building up your own fleet, which I absolutely loved in that game. It is I can't even count the number of hours I played in it, and that was one of the things I saw when I first saw this campaign. I was like, oh my God, this is like he's taken Sid Meier's and it's now like a sandbox that you can actually like a tactile version of it. That is so cool. Obviously, there's differences between what you have in that game. What were some of the things that you want to build into Shiver Me Timbers that was something you kind of felt needed to be added?
That's really hard because Sid Meier's Pirates almost has it like all. I
It's
think
almost
there's like
perfection. I get it.
it's
Yeah.
almost perfection. It's like
Yeah.
it's just like you say. It's like coming home. It's like like when Christmas comes around and you put like a DVD with the Lord of the Rings in. Like
Yeah.
this kind of comfort. Like it's like coming home. I did add a couple of things which were sea monsters, which you don't have. This is like a, a nod to Black Pearl and Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
So I did throw those in, which weren't there, and I changed like a bunch of stuff. I didn't like that's like one point which I often get into discussions with both fans and friends and family. I don't have like the classical Caribbean sea map, which I
Okay.
really would have liked to have, but which I felt like was a little bit too static. I wanted like something a bit more dynamic. Um, and there are like a couple of things which I didn't have in there, which I'm now finally having the opportunity of getting them in there, which is like, for example, um, the treasure fleet is in the harbor. That's like this one magical sentence which you have in Sid Meier's Pirates when you
Yeah.
like arrive at the port and the big guys are there and you know that you're like in for the fight of your life.
Yeah.
So I am adding that with the expansion. The dancing with the governor's daughters. That's like like wit and charm being like the most the less useful of all the starting advantages which you could have, which only helps you like when you were dancing with the governor's daughters, so that you get like the most beautiful one.
So you've built
Um,
that in?
I'm building that in
Oh,
right
that's
now
awesome.
as we speak. That's coming with the expansion. So there's like still I still have like some pieces of the puzzle which I will be adding in now with the expansion.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I I tried like to put like my own stamp on some things. For example, the coins which we have like those those coins which are basically you got like the big gold pieces which are
Yeah.
like worth 1,000, and then the smaller ones are like cut into half, and then
Yeah.
the even smaller ones are like then cut. This is like the what pirates really used to do. They used to like
Yeah.
chop up the gold pieces because you had like five sailors and like one coin, so you had to like chop them up and make them smaller. So that's like bit of Michael in there. Um, Also like some the background of some items like having like massive gold rings which pirates used to have like in case they fell overboard and drowned and their body
Hmm.
was like washed up ashore. That was like the gold meant to pay for the burial. So we got like extra large gold rings and like some like historic stuff which I snuck in. But apart from that, like Sid Meier's Pirates like has it all. No,
Yeah.
no, no need to tweak.
And then with Shiver Me Timbers, I just want to take a step back because for those who don't know, so you ran this in 2020, was the first iteration. Who published it for you? Was it self-published or I thought there was like another company that published?
Self-published. No, no, no. It's there is like a small company, Weltflucht Verlag, which is my company because I like need to keep like my
Sure. Yep.
different aspects of my life separated. But it was self-published, and it was self-published not because I didn't wouldn't have found a publisher, but because I was like a, you know, when I started making the game, one of the first things which I designed were like the modular miniatures, like
Yeah.
big ship miniatures, which you can like really like expand. You can like expand them physically by adding like more hull pieces to make them
Yeah.
longer, or adding more guns to make them more cannons to make them like stronger, or adding sails to make them faster. And I designed those. I created those like with wooden blocks for my first version, and then created them on a PC and 3D printed them and fell in love with them. And whenever I would show the game to a publisher, they all said like, "Whoa, this looks like a great game. We would really like to publish it, but no way we are producing these ships. That's like complete suicide. That's gonna cost too much, and it's gonna like make like all calculations void because it's just too expensive." And
Let's
I got
pause
like
there. I want to
stubborn.
explain to the audience how cool these ships are, okay? Because this is important. I don't want to lose this point. I'm going to show it on screen as well. But the ships themselves come apart, and you can add segments to the ship to make the ship larger. The segments you add also have like these dials which track what kind of goods you're carrying, right? Which is super
Yes.
cool. I geek out over any kind of innovation I see in the board game industry. This is like super cool. And then on where the cannons are, they're like covers, but you can pull out the sides of the ship, flip it around, and plug it back in, and now you're adding cannons to the actual side of the ship, right?
Yes,
It
that's
is
it.
super cool. It looks super cool. It is well done. So I can see from understanding like being a publisher myself when you're doing talking with molds and things like that,
Yes,
and you want to do like a retail version, it's
yes,
very tough to get down to kind of like the consumer MSRP they need because again, it's not about the necessarily the MSRP. They're needing it to buy like the stores need it at half that price, right?
yes,
And then your the people who are getting it to the store, so the distributors themselves are usually looking for another 10 to 12% off of that. So
yes,
it's getting the cost down to like you know, 36% of what the MSRP is, maybe even 30% of the MSRP. That's where it
yes,
becomes challenging, right? To get,
yes,
everything you want to get in there at a cost that's going to work for that end price point. So, but it is crazy cool what you've put in here. Like it's clear you put a lot of thought into just the experience of it, right? And the immersion of it. Can you talk a little bit about the navigation? Because you've got these kind of navigation pieces that kind of fit together for like navigating on the board.
yes. So basically, I wanted to have like a dynamic board with a
Yeah.
dynamic board setup where like building the board was like a part of the strategy, so was like a part of the game already. So what we have is like there are like six different islands. There's like three merchant islands where you can like trade goods. There's like the governor's island where you can get like missions and talk to the governor. And then there are like one island where there are like the friendly indigenous people with whom you can like trade and get like rituals from or learn rituals from them. And there's like the pirate island, the classical bay where you can like hire additional crew members who bring like special abilities. And there are short and long routes with which you
Hmm.
connect these islands. In the original game, it was basically that at the start of the game, you would draft like the different pieces and put them together until you had like a map which worked well for you. So, for example, if you decided that you want to go like for a trading strategy, you would try to get like those three merchant islands close to each other so that you can quickly hop from one island to the other
Yeah.
and sell your stuff fast. If you were like in for a more combat-oriented strategy, then you would try to have like the pirate bay nearby so that you can always get like new crew members who will help you fight. Or if you were like going to do tons of missions for the governor, you want him to have like the Kraken in the center so that wherever he sends you to pick up and deliver stuff, you can quickly get your mission, deliver, get it back, return, get the next mission. Um, so that was like basically the idea behind this modular board, which which I really like. But I got like a story there too because I was like, when I designed it, I was like 100% certain that there was no game which used the system with like the lanes and the
Mm.
pieces and the dynamic setup. And when I got like my very first prototype and went to Spiel in Essen to showcase it to different publishers, like the first booth which I arrived at, it was like 214, I guess, was Star Trek Ascendancy, which is like looking exactly the
Mm.
same. Also like
Yeah.
lanes in different length and round. So yeah, like all good ideas have already been there. But I still like this kind of setup. Even though we are changing that in the expansion too. In the expansion, you have like a dedicated new island where the Pirate Republic is being built, and everyone starts on that island and you build it like as you travel. So you got like more of an exploration aspect there. Basically, the game develops once you start
Yeah.
traveling, which is also nice because you don't have like this longish setup with the board building, but can start playing right away.
It sounds like you can play this game with other players without even attacking each other. Is that possible? Like you can just go about your missions and it's based on points at the end, or do you have to have a face-off where you're attacking the other pirates?
No, you can. I mean, obviously, it wouldn't be like a pirate game if you couldn't attack the other players. You can attack them, obviously,
Yeah.
but there's like on these routes there are like NPC players.
Yeah.
So basically, like little ships which you can
Mm.
like travel to, and you can attack the NPC merchants. When you attack them, you will like flip them, and then on the other side, you will um, have like indicated how strong they really are. So it can happen that you attack someone who is like much stronger or that he's like fairly weak.
Hmm.
Um, but the combat itself is card based. So basically, you have
Mm.
like you draw cards and you play attacks, and the other guy has to defend, or other girl, until like one is defeated and pushed overboard. Um, and the rule is that always like the person to your right will be playing for the NPC player. So
Oh, really?
you have like
Okay.
by definition you have like a certain degree of interaction in there,
That's
so
cool.
that but it's like like it's a non-confrontative way to interact with the others. I mean, obviously they are like trying to defeat you because if they defeat you, then you get like less points, sure. But it's not as confrontative as like me attacking you, which I mean, there are like certain groups who love it and certain groups who hate it. And if you hate it, then you don't have to do it. Also, the game has been designed like so that you can win without fighting any ships at all. If you decide like to be a trader, or if you
Hmm.
decide to be like a treasure hunter, or if you decide to be like a monster hunter, or if you decide to be a hireling and do like lots of tasks for the governor, all those can lead to victory. So
Oh, that's so
um,
cool.
in my group, like my regular group is like my family. It's my three kids, my wife and me. We play like a ton, and two of us like don't really like fighting the others.
Yeah.
Obviously, my wife and my daughter don't like fighting. The boys will always like attack each other. Like
It's like me
round
and my
one,
brother.
turn one. Yes, very first. yeah, action of the game is always the attack on your big brother.
Do
That's
you have the ability to like have more ships in your fleet, or is this one predominantly like one ship?
it's one ship.
It's
It's
one
one
ship.
ship. Yeah. It used to be like my very first design, you had like three ships,
Yep.
but that took like 12 hours to play and
Oh wow.
and would have been like completely undoable with the plastic miniatures.
Yeah. And
So
then
I
with your the crew that you're bringing on, like, is there maximums you can have? Like, is it set based on your ship size, the max crew you have? And then how do you track that?
yes. So basically you can have like there are like each ship is like defined by three parameters, which is like the sail, the hull and the cannons.
Hmm.
And each of the parameters can go up to seven. So you can have
Mm,
like the strongest ship you can have is like a 777 ship.
sure.
Um, but you can play cards to increase like even further. So if you have like, for example, you can like um, if you have like a seven strength ship and you attack, so seven cannons and you attack another ship and they have seven cannons too and you want to have an advantage, then you could play like a sellsword card, which would give you +1, so that it's like eight versus seven. So
Mm,
you can theoretically, or you can, for example, if you like go treasure hunting, then you might like find some Chinese silk, which gives you like +1 sails. So
mm.
you can travel at speed 8.
With the when you have the player to the right of you is playing on behalf of the NPC, which again,
Mhm,
very smart because there's nothing worse in a game where you're waiting for someone else to go through their entire turn and no one can
mhm,
interact. So I
mhm.
think that's really, really cool that that person can interact. So, congrats on that. I
It
always love hearing
it
any kind of
also
simultaneous stuff.
it always has to be the guy to your right
Yeah.
because the guy to your left is thinking about his next turn,
Yeah.
but the guy
Yes.
to your right has already played. So
Yeah. So
it's
on
like
that though, is there an NPC deck they're using or are they using their deck to def
you're using a common deck. It's
a
like a
common
common
deck?
deck
Okay.
full of attacks. So you and them are using the same one.
Oh, that's awesome. This, Michael, I gotta say, this is one of the most awesome games I think I have seen in quite some time. And maybe I'm biased because it's loosely based off of one of my favorite games of all time. But man, you've done an amazing job on this. It is so cool to see what you've created. Everything from like the metal coins all the way through to again these modular ships. Like bravo. This is the
Thanks.
second print, right? So for those
Yes.
who are looking at this maybe on BGG and say, "Wait a second, I saw this like 6 years ago."
Mhm.
This is a reprint with expansions and additions you're adding to kind of the new edition, correct? Right?
Yes, yes. But the core game is being reprinted as is because I'm like
Got it.
fairly happy with like the core game. I think it's like it stood the test of time, sort of. I believe we have
Yeah.
like I think we are like always fluctuating between 7.9 and 8.0 on the Geek. So
Yeah.
it's like a really robust game. We got like even like one Game of the Year award back then. So I'm really happy with that one. That's not being changed. We will have like a slightly updated rule book because in 5 years you find like a couple of typos and as a technical journalist you find like a couple of things which you should have explained better.
Sure.
So obviously there will be like a couple of tweaks at the rulebook, but the game is being reprinted as is.
Yeah.
And then there's like the expansion, which opens like a whole new sandbox basically. There's like yeah, new life goals to strive for. There's like a completely new setup. There's like more interaction. So changing like a ton of things.
The benefit to
Also,
that though is that those who already own it can get the expansions, right? And just use it with the
they can
base
get the
game.
yes, yes.
So everything
They
fits
can
well.
simply get the expansion.
That's what's next? Like where do you go from here? Like is it more of Shiver Me Timbers or are you working on another game? Like clearly you've put a lot of like gosh, a decade into this one, but are you working on other game designs or what's the plan for you as a publisher?
So the plan for me as a publisher first is like wrap up Shiver Me Timbers, like Shiver Me Timbers and the
Sure.
Gunpowder Glory expansion. This is probably going to take us like roughly 1 year until like everyone has their games and
Yeah.
hopefully everyone is happy with them. So that's like for me like the big milestone which I will be like tackling first. Then more games, yes, definitely. I have like one in the works, which is like pretty far already, which is like drafting game, taking me a little bit back to my Magic roots
Hmm.
about the Scott and Amundsen race to the South Pole. That was
Oh, that's
like
cool.
like in yes, yeah, that's like one of the most intriguing historical scenarios which there ever was. So looking to turn that into a game, and that will probably be next. But I got like always 3 or 4 designs fluctuating in different stadiums between, I don't know, completely rough prototype
Yeah.
and already with blind playtesters and checking out how things will develop.
I think one of the cool things is that what's clear, I think, in what you've put together here is you put a lot of emphasis on immersion and theme. So I think these other games you're working on, I can't wait to see how those look because I'm sure they're gonna be very thematic and very immersive. I want to wish you all the best in this campaign. You're killing it. You're already over 100,000 euros. You've just started. You got another month to go. Like I'm gonna encourage people to check this campaign out. It is again just like Sid Meier's Pirates. Your campaign itself, I think, is perfection. Even going through the page, the stuff you've done. I want to wish you all the best, my friend. I can't wait to see where this ends.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been like a blast, and yeah, I'm really like there's like nothing quite like a successful, well-running Gamefound campaign. There's like so many positive vibes that it's like yeah, great feeling. So enjoying myself tremendously right now.
Sounds good, buddy. All right, you take care. Cheers.
James, have a great one. See you. Bye bye.
This has been an episode of the Board Game Binge podcast, hosted by James Staley, produced by James Staley and Mike Bruner, with original music by Nick Smith. If you would like to watch these interviews live, simply subscribe to our YouTube channel, Board Game Binge, and you'll get access to live interviews, giveaways, and interesting board game content from across the industry. I can't wait for you to join us. See you next time.